What is it that you and your colleagues learned, you know, the scars, that led you to make some of the fundamental decisions architecturally about Workday that are really quite a distance away from the way we used to do things?
Yeah, I think we learned a ton from going through it at, some of us a time or two before. Workday's my third company, been with Ask Computer Systems, and then, spent 10 years with PeopleSoft, and you learn a lot, and I think a lot of that went into starting Workday, and there's so many levels to sort of answer that question on, but I think you and I like to talk about architecture, so, we kind of start there.
The technology of moving to objects is one thing, but modeling for the future and understanding that you need to build in that sort of future-proofing the models so that changes evolve, they're not disruptive. I think that was another big difference that I see.
Grabbing onto the object paradigm, I think, in the original technology was done just as a way to break the relational paradigm. And really, it was like, let's look for another paradigm that gives us more flexibility and gets us out of using the database to sort of describe the structure of applications. And objects seemed the right way to go.
When I read some of the analyst coverage, some of the influencer coverage of Workday, when Workday announced, for example, it was going to do recruiting, the reaction was, well, that's a pretty big thing, and that's going to take time, and the build out will be years, and so on. And I think there's a lack of appreciation for how much reuse you get from the models. If you have a proper person-object model, and it covers the role of contingent worker, and it covers employee, and it covers applicant, if you need to extend it to have another role, that's very different than in a relational world, in an entity relationship diagramming world. But the net is that with Workday, you're able to evolve the product at a cost, time, and low error rate that I don't think everybody understands yet.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think those stories are hard to tell. You just need to know application development. You have to, again, that's the way you started this whole conversation. You have to have lived it in order to understand maybe some of the benefits. But yeah, we've seen through the whole time here, the technology has been very interesting because things that are very, very difficult to do can come easier or more rapidly with this technology. We actually have done some things I never would have done in the combination of the relational world. So for me, it's the relational world with tons of procedural logic, sort of separate from it.
We're going to have generations of young developers, young functional people who don't have that experience. And they're going to be replacing folks like yourself over time. How do we convey to them the reasons behind, to give them enough of a gut feel for some of the decisions that were made? I think to pass that along is going to be really important.
Yeah, well, maybe we did with all the cost and complexity that we added in the previous generation. I mean, I think, it's very interesting because, I think you're right. A lot of the people we hire here haven't lived through the previous generation. But a lot of people know what we mean by complex and slow-moving software that gets stuck. And I think that there's a mindset in younger developers, certainly, outside of enterprise software and the consumer internet, there's definitely a mindset that the application's got to continuously change. And you don't want to get wedded to any one way of doing things. And I think that really is a new mindset that's sort of coming to enterprise software now through companies like Workday. So maybe these young guys are getting it already. I don't know.
Is it fair to say that you never would have come to this complete set of decisions about software if you didn't have the chance to start over?
Oh, I think that's completely fair to say. Completely fair to say. We definitely had the benefit of a clean start, and like I said, I think that that was necessary, and hopefully one of the lessons we've learned is with this technology is not to get wedded to any singular approach, so that we don't have heart surgery in our future again, that we can continue to change and be fresh. And that's still a challenge. It's not clear that we've called all the shots, but I think along with selecting some of the new approaches, I think that there is a bit of paranoia here about just getting so completely tied to any one standard at all. Try to float above it so you can embrace the technology as it changes.
That's great. Thank you very much.